Can I choose super sloppy double there instead?
You may not. So I'm going to have everybody start with a survival check, please. And this is just you, Nick, not your robot.
Yeah, I was going to ask, actually.
14.
12.
8.
10.
10.
I'm going to roll with it because it makes sense that I'm struggling being non-hasted in the sand.
Yeah.
Is there any benefit to our haste in this particular challenge?
Yeah, I'm giving you guys a +2 to do check,
Oh, nice.
which is good because you would have failed otherwise.
Oh.
But since you
Okay.
did activate a third level spell?
Third level spell.
Yeah. I'm willing to say that it's worth something as you are trying to move around essentially. So as you guys are moving forward, you start realizing your feet are kind of sinking in a little bit. And you use your survival skills to essentially keep an eye out for the spots that are most likely to be quicksand because it has a kind of a different hue to it. And once you've stepped in a couple of them, you realize these are the ones we should be staying away from. And you start weaving through best you can. With the help of everybody, the haste that's in effect, you manage to weave through most of them just fine. There's a couple points where somebody kind of gets their foot stuck for a minute. You're able to kind of help them out and keep moving. It's enough to get through the sandy area. It's weird because you still feel this tunnel-like effect, but it also feels as though there's this open space around you. There's walls there, but it feels like it's open. It's sort of disconcerting in a way. Having passed through the sand, as it now starts to taper off and it becomes more granular underneath your feet and is more solid ground, you start to feel a tremor underneath you. I need everybody to make an acrobatics check.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's your best.
18.
13.
19.
23.
14.
14. You pass with flying colors. This shaking starts to get more and more violent. It feels almost as though it's an earthquake of sorts. But with the help of the people that are hasted and acting a little more spry and just people's balance in general, you're able to keep moving forward as quickly as possible to get through the stretch as fast as you can. There's a couple moments where you kind of feel like you're a little bit unsteady, but for the most part, you guys blast through that part of the hallway with minimal effect. It feels as though like these tremors were about to get worse, and maybe if you'd stayed in longer, they would have continued to worsen. But you burst on through and keep moving with really no problem whatsoever, considering those numbers.
Nice.
As you continue to move forward, up ahead, your path is blocked. You can see some source of light behind these boulders through the cracks, but something maybe from the shaking or some other effect has caused some kind of small landslide. And everybody to make a strength check.
Oh, God.
Or athletics. I'll allow athletics.
I don't know if
I'm
that's
going
any
to do
better.
athletics because my strength is
Nope, not any better.
It might not be better for some people.
garbage. 17.
Oh, God.
You said there's another side, right?
Did you just nat one?
Other side,
I
like
did.
We can see the light on the
yeah, like the path continues beyond it, but it's pretty much walled up, ceiling to floor.
I don't know. I don't know if this breaks this at all. Can I just dimension door Lena and I through it?
Sure.
What? I thought we were doing skill checks.
It'll
though.
be-
I mean,
it'll
we
be-
are,
It'll
I
be
know.
harder for the other three to break through then, but sure, you can get through.
Fine, I'll roll.
I was going to say, I rolled a frickin' 1.
Yeah, and I rolled a 2, so yeah, this is great.
I'm going to luck this one. Come on, baby.
This dimension door might be.
Fuck.
This dimension door.
1. It's a 1. So
Oh, dear.
Well,
it was
it's
an
not a
8.
nat
I was
one,
an 8 to a 1.
So
With two-
19, 17, 8, 1.
Yeah,
1.
that is a failure. It takes you guys longer than expected to claw through this and dislodge enough of the boulders to where you can finally get them to kind of tumble over and make a path to go through. The people below a 10 take 7 points of piercing damage as the rocks dig into your hands. The
Okay.
ones with a success, so a 19 or a 17 there, take 3 points of piercing damage. But you are eventually able to claw your way through and keep moving. So jot down the damage.
Yep.
You can't tell me what to do.
No, you really
You
can't.
really can't.
Running up ahead, the ground underneath you softens a bit, but not because it's sand, but because it seems almost mud-like.
How long did it take us to unbury everything?
A couple of minutes. It's not that bad.
Well, haste is gone.
Ah. Yes.
Oh, really?
It's
I think
only
mine
it's up
lasts-
to a minute.
I think mine might last longer. Let me double check.
Cheating.
Yeah, mine lasts up for 10 minutes.
Well,
Okay.
there he goes, running off on his own.
Later, buddy.
There he goes again on his own.
This
But
is
then,
why.
then he runs too far ahead away from Lena and he vanishes.
I mean, well, actually, it might not because it does require maintaining concentration.
Well, that's true.
I would say with a nat 1, that's probably down then.
We have to make a concentration check. I'm not going to worry about the nat 1. That was part of the initial failure.
How
So
do I do that?
roll a Constitution saving throw.
Constitution saving throw.
Just roll Constitution, and then whatever the modifier is. Oh God, where did I put it on your screen?
1d20 plus 1.
Sure.
10.
I think that's a failure.
Yeah, because it's 10 plus the damage. If I'm
Yes,
not mistaken,
if
so
I remember.
13.
Yeah.
So your haste is also gone.
Okay.
Everyone's haste is gone, and everyone's running at the same pace.
No. He has +4 on his con. It's one of his it's one of his saving throws.
So that's a 13.
That he's
Oh,
proficient in.
yes, plus 4.
So it's a
I did plus
14,
1, not
so that does
yeah.
pass,
Okay.
and you keep haste.
All right.
And you can
Aren't
thank
you
Mike.
glad I had a copy of your character sheet?
I am.
If I had a copy, I might have known that.
If we hadn't made it 30 minutes before we started.
I know.
Wait, so is it 9 plus 4 then, or is it 10 plus 4?
He rolled a 10, didn't he?
He rolled a 9.
rolled a
plus
9.
Well, either
1.
way, it's the check is 13, so he passes.
Oh, great. Wonderful.
What the hell was I saying? Mud-like stuff, right? Yes. Not enough to prohibit movement per se, but it's enough where you can kind of like feel the ground just kind of like quick underneath you as you start to progress further. I need everybody to make a nature check, please.
Ooh, God.
I've never wanted to use my spells.
Yeah, I just want to warn you in advance. Well, it's 4 of them now already, but none of these have
Oh
charisma.
no, I critical failed.
I got a
God damn
5.
Oh God.
This
Oh,
isn't going
God.
well.
The druid critically failed at nature.
I know. I know.
Hey, you guys remember when you were rolling all those 20s and you were like, I wonder when it's going to turn on us?
14 for me.
I rolled a 9.
Yeah, we all did terribly. None of us cracked 10. So
I imagine this is just basically a fail.
I got a 14, I'll have you know.
Yeah, there is 114 and everything else is single digits, so yes, it is a failure. You feel yourself having to work harder and harder to extract your feet from each step, and the process slows you down significantly. It also is seeming like the light up ahead is dwindling to some extent.
I'm going to Dimension Door with Lena and I. As soon as I see her slowing down and getting stuck, I'm just going to... Wherever that light is ahead of us, I don't know how many feet it is.
It's hard to tell from this distance, but you can jump. It's seemingly outside of the range of Dimension Door.
Well, Dimension Door's 500 feet?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, I choose 500 feet forward.
Sure.
I will choose
Can
as
do
far
that.
ahead forward as I can.
It's 500 feet.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Wait, well, how far away is the door?
More than that.
Jesus.
Don't know, but more than that.
Okay.
They went. Hopefully they'll get to the door. Keep going, though.
Can I...
How is my tangibility?
Oh yeah.
It is poor, but you do still have a form to yourself, yes. What's this? Hold on.
I was trying to see. It's only one sorcery point. I do have it. So, sorry, Lou. We'll see if you stick around.
We'll see.
I'm spending my one last remaining sorcery point
Yeah.
to double the range, so it's 1,000 feet.
Okay. So, you guys, the rest of the group watches as Tessian suddenly reaches out, takes Lena's hand, and a kind of like darkish purple portal appears just long enough for the two of them to through, and you can see just barely, especially with the additional distance, the faint outline of a similarly colored portal appearing and two forms stepping out, where you can kind of figure like, oh, Tessian just went and got Lena much further forward. The two of you make it to where this light source is coming from, sprinting as fast as you can. With the sound of more shaking behind you, you dash up into the next room, seemingly having made it safely. Everybody else, as this mud gives way to more volcanic rock and steam and even some small tufts of lava start to spew out, I need everybody to make a Constitution saving throw,
Did
please.
we just doom
Good.
everyone?
I mean, I hope not, but like we're here to get you to the end, so
Oh, don't worry. Isaac will have a conversation with Tessian.
Once he's in shouting range.
If he lives, because I have to use my last luck point. I just got a 1.
Oh God.
I rolled 11.
15 for Karash.
18 with my ring for Isaac.
Okay. With this now almost sulfuric air surrounding you, you start to run this last distance, trying to catch up to where you saw Tessian and Lena disappear. And it starts to become difficult to breathe. You can feel yourself coughing, especially as you exert your lungs. But most of you are able to, actually all 3 of you are able to shrug off the effects overall. Like you can feel it sort of creeping in there, but for the most part you endure. You dash up ahead, and
Keep going. We're almost there. You can do it.
after about
Both of
another
you.
minute or so of running, you catch up to Tessian and Lena, sort of gasping just to enjoy, not because you're short on air, but just enjoying that sense of fresh air and being able to fill your lungs with air that doesn't choke you in the process.
Oh, I am not enjoying fresh air. We've caught up, and we're not in immediate danger from what we can tell.
Yes.
I go up and I try to punch Tessian in the face.
Okay, make your attack roll.
I don't know what a
Children?
punch
Roll a d20 and add your dex.
is. God, I'm
I
so
guess.
sorry.
It should be strength. 'cause
Yeah, it
he's
should be
not a
strength.
monk.
It is a physical attack. So, yep, roll a d20, add your strength.
What is that? Slash R 20?
Yeah, /R space d20.
Slash R. Oh, okay. Slash R space. And then add strength.
Mm-hmm.
The raw modifier, not the saving throw. So 17. I go down 1.
It would technically hit, but I'm going to use shield again. This is an oldie but a goodie. You gotta punch me and I just go. So yeah, it's a good punch. I'll be honest, it would have hit him through his mage armor. But
So what happens?
You feel your fist strike, but it's not the face you were expecting, and instead hits a magical barrier that's essentially extended in front of it. Hurts a little bit. Doesn't do any damage.
The next time the 2 of you, and it's not your fault, Lena, abandon the rest of the group to save your own hides, we're done. Yes, Lena is the most important, but what was that? We're a group. This is the first shrine. If we're going to give up everything to get Lena to the goal, we're not even done with it yet. We help each other. We don't abandon at the first sign of adversity.
I'm sorry to say it, but I have to agree. I wasn't expecting that to happen, and I apologize for the stress it may put you guys under. We can't do that. We can't split up the group, even if it means trying to get me to safety. I'm sorry, I can't sacrifice any of you.
If it comes down to it, and it is truly a matter of do we choose us or you, I will choose you. But until we're at that point, we do not abandon each other.
you made it.
Barely,
did
and we
not
could have
know that
used
we
your
were
help.
All going to survive. So how about we just move on?
You may all have died, myself included. I thought it was worth it. I apologize if you don't agree, but
I don't agree.
I
And
don't
it's-
regret a thing. We're here to move on. Yes,
No, not yes.
Tessin's gonna.
Isaac's very upset.
Yeah, Tessin's gonna turn and keep moving on. To
You
whatever
can
this next
keep
room is.
walking, but you're not going to go anywhere without Lena. This is her conatus. I think this is something we need to establish. Just because you want to abandon us at the first sign things go wrong doesn't mean Lena does, and don't you respect her opinion on the matter?
If Lena wishes to have a discussion with me, then we can do it when we're done with this conatus.
I think if we have more trials, we have this conversation now. You know, it's interesting. The whole premise of this thing was bring those you trust. And I had started to trust you.
I mean, technically it's Lena who was supposed to bring people she trusted, but I mean, it's the endings of the Draconic. It means it's It's a personal. It's if you want to do the declensions of the nouns, it's. I'm gonna stop talking now.
Lou was just wearing a smirk through this whole conversation.
I think we need to establish, are we a group, are we an order, or are we peons that are expendable?
You seem to think that I think you're expendable. That's not the case,
It
Isaac.
doesn't feel like it.
My magic can bring 2 people, myself and one other. If we were all going to die in that room, would you have rather I saved Lena or not?
Yeah, but clearly that was not
Yes.
the case.
Yes, you would have. I made a decision. You may not like it, but I made it. I'm glad you survived. But Lena's already taken a great deal of damage. She's not doing very well. You and Karash and Lou, no offense, but you're all durable types. Lena's already been weakened. We have places to go.
We only survived because we got lucky. Actually, literally, because I used luck. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind.
So
going
you're
forward.
saying I made the right choice?
I'm saying you made the wrong choice, and I'm telling you I won't forget. But there's no more point in talking about this right now.
I'm interested to see what you would have had me do otherwise.
Go with the rest of us. Help us through the tunnel.
And how would I have done that?
The same way we helped each other through every other part of this entire shrine.
Sure. Sure. We can discuss it later then.
All right. Okay.
And on that note,
Fighting. I
I'll
love
just
it.
I'll just start walking. Yeah.
Taking a second to get your bearings. This chamber is already lit, unlike several of the others on this path so far. And you can see a series of stalagmites and stalactites, both kind of jutting out of the ground and ceiling as you start to move forward. Not in a threatening way, just as it's increasing in intensity the more you move forward. And eventually, as I kick someone's feet, eventually you can see up ahead. Make a perception check. From this far back, let's see
10.
who's raisonnable.
19.
I critical failed again. Jesus.
You're very upset right now.
I'm upset.
Makes a lot
I'm
of
really
sense.
weakened.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
just
been a kind of a gauntlet for you.
it just sucks now apparently.
I critted, and the construct rolled a 13.
Okay. Sorry, I heard squeaking. Got distracted.
Yeah, I hear it too.
Oh,
Yeah. Lou, up ahead you see what appears to be a stone dais. Maybe another 100 feet or so up ahead, sort of nestled in between some of the stalagmites on the ground. There are a handful of steps leading up to it. It almost seems to be integrated with the ground itself. The steps are not actually made of stone, but also of that same earthen material that has been in those couple of past rooms and also litters the floor of this one where there's not stalagmites. Beyond that, you don't really hear any sound. Nothing else really sticks out to you as far as what you're seeing, and all of you to some extent, yes, even with a 1, see that there doesn't appear to be any other outlet for this room. It opens up to this wide cavernous opening where there's some sort of unnatural light filling the room, but looking around, unless there's something hidden behind something or something beyond your sight at this particular moment, this dais seems to be the end-all be-all of this particular path.
This seems familiar.
Yeah, but of course Lou does not know that.
I will say that
I convey all that information to everybody.
Sure.
this might be the last component of this trial. Are we ready?
Last time we were in a similar room, Lou, we fought a dragon. So, be ready.
Crash, what does your lay on hands look like? I've lost not a lot of HP. Would it be a way? All right, you know what? I have the second wind that I can do. Would it be better to do second wind or to try to use his lay on hands?
You're muted.
You muted.
Dog. I'm sorry, the dog was barking. You can use that on yourself in combat, but I can just lay on hands you now, and then if I need to use it in combat, I can drop smaller amounts. So it's economically, it's better for me to use it on you now.
Should we rest up a bit before we enter? Seems like a good spot. Looking around doesn't seem to be anything.
That would be wise. I think we need to be prepared for whatever this fight has in store for us.
Cool. So we're
Pull out some more jerky.
Okay.
Of course. Sit on the ground, eating jerky.
An hour of awkward silence.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Lou starts asking anybody to fill him in on stuff that's basically happened in the past 30 years.
Oh, Tessian
Well,
would
I'm gonna
love to
step
fill
back
you
from
in.
this.
Tessian would love to fill you in about a great many things. It gives him something to talk about. That's not these two that don't agree with him.
Are they all female exploits?
No.
No, only half.
No, most of them were actually not significant enough to Aramean history,
And the other half are male exploits.
let alone the females' history.
He tells you all about anything you'd want to know. The changing of the hierarchy from what's his name was Carrington to Amelia to Camille. He'll even sort of fill in that things have been pretty good around. I don't think there's been any major wars or struggles.
Nope.
Mentions. I think there's been some things in Black Harbor, but you probably don't give a shit. No one does. So,
To be honest, he's more interested in the end of the rule of Carrington.
he'll tell you as much as he knows regarding like his kind of strict rule, if I recall, prior to getting so old he was replaced.
Essentially.
Yeah. It was pretty much it. But
abdicated the throne to his daughter at that point.
And then we'll inform you that there were mysterious circumstances regarding Amelia's death. That was a thing that happened. And then let you know that there have been some current events involving Faust Dryden presumably attempting to work against the throne to some degree. We're not entirely sure. That seems to be the case.
That's my dad.
Involving things like a large...
And you don't trust me.
Yeah, do your worst. I've heard it all.
He'll discuss like there's a large ship that is capable of moving underwater that he's been building.
Really?
And
he's interested in gadget stuff like that too.
yes, yeah. So he'll tell him everything we know about the gadgets that we've seen so far. We've seen like conveyor belts and weapons. He will point to Isaac's weapons and say that they are.
He was going to ask about Isaac's weapons.
They are of Faustian design, I suppose, presumably.
I can toss one to him if he wants to see.
You would love that. You would absolutely love that. It fires as it goes. You get all my memories. Yeah. Okay. So he takes a look over the guns and like he can see that like there's. Do the glyphs only respond to Isaac?
Seemingly, yes.
So he doesn't
as far as
see
we
anything
know.
glowing or anything to do with it. This is a fine piece of work.
It's pretty neat. I'm trying to actually discover if I can increase the chamber. 6 bullets. I could see a need for maybe something more like 8. But 8 to
Did you
10.
What was that?
It's me trying to use my hit dice, and apparently I'm going to have to spend a lot more.
Yeah, that's another way you can heal in a short rest. Anyways.
Chris, as a gadgeteer, somebody who has the relevant tools, can I at least recommend something to him as far as upgrading his weapon with with a bigger chamber?
You have Tinkerer's tools, yes?
Yes.
Make a check with those. I think that's with your
God.
dexterity. And maybe
So-
also your proficiency, assuming you're proficient with them.
Yes, I am
Expertise.
proficient.
He's an expert.
Oh, so
Just roll
6.
2 ones.
So
No.
so plus 6 plus 3 the d20. So plus 1 d20 plus 9.
Sounds right.
Correct.
I get my constitution on it though? I don't remember.
I rolled a 16.
I can look and see on mine.
Looking over this gun, it is unlike anything you've seen before. You've seen guns. They were around 30 years ago as well.
I have some of my
You
own
were
design.
using a couple. But this is different. This is advanced beyond what you're accustomed to. And part of the reason why, as you're inspecting it, is because you also can at least see like the faded outline of where the runes would activate. They don't activate in any way for you. But you realize that this is more than just technology at work. It's sort of a hybrid of technology and magic both. And as such, it might be possible to expand on the gun's parameters to some extent, but it's also risky. If the runes involved are disturbed in any way, and even if the balance of the gun itself were thrown off, it could have consequences. And you know this just because you've tinkered around with things yourself.
That's been my
And-
challenge, is I want to upgrade it. I was thinking maybe building another gun, but I'd rather spend my time upgrading the magic one that I have, maybe adding a scope or something of that nature, but it's been slow going because this is, as far as I know, the only one of its kind in the world, and if I ruin it, I don't know how to fix it.
Well, I would say, if that's something you're really interested in, I don't think that the task is impossible. I don't. But I think I might be limited to the confines of this place, and that is not the ideal place for me to attempt it. Especially with what I got on hand.
But you do know the scope he mentioned is a more viable option, because it would be more of an attachment than an alteration of the original gun. With your expertise, that's well within your knowledge base.
Okay. I tell him that. You should get a scope.
Well, that's good to know, at least. The mechanics of that should be easier. Unfortunately, it's a matter of cost. But, it's something I'm saving for.
Was I aware of anybody in my past life that I might be able to put in a good word, like say that you know the family Ka or whatever?
That's a fair question, and one that's going to involve some scrolling.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Let's vamp. Do.
Awkward silence hangs over the group again.
I'm converting one of my spells into 3 sorcery points just in case.
I appreciate it, Lou. Don't really have anyone to talk to here about mechanics and guns. Although I suppose Tessian could help with the magic piece. But it's so much more complicated than that.
Right, and I might just leave you behind, so...
I mean, that is the concern. Or maybe, the guns become a threat that you deem on your own and you'd break it. I can't really know, can I?
I can assure you, destroying those weapons has crossed my mind before. They're quite dangerous.
Any other things you'd like to share today?
I've been resting my head at this point on my knees, and so I just, put my head up and I'm just like, can you both not do this right now? We're about to be in the fight of our lives, and I would just really like it if our last conversation wasn't arguing.
Grumble, but I stopped.
For the record, Isaac, I haven't destroyed them because I trust you with them. And I don't think you'll misuse them.
Look at Lena.
I nod, and I say, thank you.
Take a sigh. And does this give Lou enough time to chime in now?
He's racking his brain as this goes on. There is one family name in particular that stands out, and of course, Lou, you are uncertain what the situation of that family might be. If this time jump that seems to have happened appears to be the case, but you are you are familiar of a person named, oh god, I just had it, where did it go? Fuck me. Vero Rovaris. She was an elf who was prominently placed with the Gears of Change prior to the War of Calamity, and while she did not present with any mechanical skills herself, she was proficient with them, but her family was one of the forefront researchers in developing weapons with more technological approaches. So that last name, if it still carries any weight in the world, which is, of course, the iffy part, but if it did, that is one that you could possibly recommend, yes.
I would recommend it to him.
Okay.
So that seems like something you should probably write down.
I did, yeah. I'll tell him Luca sent me, or maybe you can take me yourself if we can get you solidified.
If I can get out of her, for sure. But it might be best just to say family call.
Okay. Yeah, Lou, it occurs to me, I know you're looking for Genmo. Do you have any family? Have you considered where they are and this time that you've missed?
Yeah. I had family. I gotta say, when my vision was coming to, I actually thought Lena might have been my sister at first, her being an elf after all. But as that cleared up, that became apparently not the case.
Has it, not to drudge up anything negative, but has it hit you that she's now decades older?
Well, now it has.
She's an elf, so I don't know how much those decades.
Yeah, well, she's no longer my little sister, apparently. Oh. That's something to think about.
Sorry, Lou. Wife, kids, anything like
No
that?
wife. No. That's a bit young for an elf.
Well, that's
So
good.
no wife, no kids. Had a sister, had parents. They're still kicking. So
Well, we can find them after we're
I'll
out
be
of
the
here.
judge of that. They're all dead.
I certainly hope so. Let's see what happens.
Okay, I have to assume it's
It's
an
been
hour.
3 hours.
Let's just go long rest at this point.
Yeah, I know. Just take a nap.
We're almost halfway through, guys.
Lay across the stalagmites. It'll be like acupuncture, but not. Yeah, the better part of an hour passes. Conversation fills the majority of it, especially once that initial awkwardness fades. Anybody who hasn't yet could spend hit dice to replenish their health.
Can I do that? How do I do that?
You should have 7 of them.
Oh,
And I think you can just click on them on the character sheet.
I'm sorry, Crash.
That might be true.
For the short
Oh.
rest, did you use your lay on
They
hands
are-
on me or
Okay.
no?
it
Did you want to
says
use your
I
hit dice, or
failed.
did you want me to use them?
Whatever
That's
is
3 HP,
more,
which is exactly
whatever's
what I
better in
Hit
the
dice
long
is
term.
probably better.
You
Okay.
rolled a 1, but you have plus
Yeah,
2
your hit dice is way
constitution,
better
so it's
because
3.
I can use my lay on hands
What I
whenever.
was, so.
I recover all of my damage.
Okay. So yeah, you can just and you can choose how many to roll. So you can roll 1, see how many health it gives you,
I just did the fucking same thing you did. 2 ones.
plus your
Well,
Constitution.
and she rolled a 1 as well, by the way. So
I
we
did.
none of us have rolled
What
a hit
the
die over a 1.
fuck?
Yeah,
I
just,
mean, I'm telling
I
you,
rolled.
Get the ones
when
out of
I
the way
rolled,
now, I
I rolled
guess.
a 1 and a crit.
the 20 god comes a calling.
So
Hey guys, I healed myself.
three, three, six.
You know what, Karash? You go up there
Honestly,
first.
At least with 2 hit die, which seems like a lot, I am only down 1 HP now. So
Yeah. So I mean, that's fine. And 1 HP is not. I mean, he could lay on hands for 1, but that's up to you guys.
no. I'm good with this.
Okay. You guys take that moment just to sort of catch your breath, especially having gone through the gauntlet that it took to get to this chamber in particular. But as the time passes, you heal your wounds best you can. Lena, of course, is still deficient. Her maximum hit points by 26, but
Yeah, that hurts a lot.
everybody else pretty much gets back to tip-top condition or right thereabouts. What would you like to do now?
Whatever we do when we go beyond this area, I am glued to miss no HP.
Yeah,
Lou is going to walk far enough ahead that at least the stairs are in range, and then waggle around his wand of secrecy or secrets or whatever it is.
Okay.
Wand of waggling.
Again, it appears there are no traps and no hidden doors within 30 feet.
Lena, I think this is up to you.
agreed. It's time. So I'm going to start walking towards the stone dais up there and presumably put my hand on it. I guess we'll see when I get up
All
there.
right, everyone, have each other's backs. I'll have your back. You have my back. Lou, that includes you.
member of the team.
Hang on, my finger gun is not in the camera.
Yeah. Could you get that in frame, please? Thanks. Come on, be a professional. Bang, bang. You guys kind of group up as close as you can without crowding her too much, but, keeping her well within your reach as well. Not literally, but you know what I mean. As she approaches the dais, and you remember last time it was almost sort of like a tomb of sorts.
Okay, yeah.
This time when you go up to it and you place your hand on it, there's no reaction from the dais itself, but you watch as, whether it's a projection or just some sort of weird spectral image, the sort of now familiar form of Aurelia apparates above the dais. She's 15 feet tall, so it's,
Some Snoke bullshit happening right here.
So if you can open a lightsaber inside of her, that'd be good.
I tense up a little bit, but I don't do anything outwardly disrespectful.
That same
Yeah.
resplendent long blonde hair that seems to go on limitlessly. The gold and silver sparkles kind of cascading down from her. The wizened look upon her face. It looks like you could see her before, but at this size and at this proximity, it looks like Aurelia in her prime. You know that elves obviously age at a different timetable than most other species, but at the same time, this looks like a younger Aurelia, perhaps when she was making the journey herself, and not as though it was when she died at an older age or something of that nature.
I was going to say, she was the first Canatus
She was
person,
the
right?
last to succeed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Not the first. They're not sure how many had, but she was not the only one to have, but she is the last. The last
Okay.
two before her had
Yeah,
failed.
the previous completer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this, she goes back long before Lou does. Yeah. And she says, "It is good to see you again, Fable dear. You have done well to make it this far. I'm sure it's a perilous journey to do so, but you must understand this is not power and ability that can be passed out easily. It is one that must be earned to make sure that you are the right person to wield it going forward."
Aurelia, can I ask you something?
She does not respond to you. She says,
Oh, okay.
Brave companions, please understand. I will also answer your questions in a moment, but first I must address her. And she looks back to you for an
Okay.
answer.
The last thing she said was that we can't dull out power all crazy like. I say, I understand, and this isn't a trial that I take lightly.
Having seen what you have now, even before this shrine, but also accounting for the shrine itself, do you feel that you are prepared for this journey?
I say yes. I think I am prepared.
One of the most difficult things about this position, this power that it grants you and its ability to place you as an ambassador to the world, is that you may have to be prepared to make sacrifices if necessary as well. Perhaps not of your companions, but for the greater good. Maybe there will be times where you have to choose between two difficult decisions. Some of that you will gain along the course of this journey, but even so, do you feel you're up to the task?
I say that at this stage in my life, I do feel that I am naive in some of those matters, but I think this journey can allow me to grow and gain that confidence and awareness. So I think I can gain that understanding as I move forward.
She nods. She says, "This is good to hear. The proper perspective is important for anyone undergoing the conatus. There will be times when the road ahead seems murky, when you feel as if it is too trying to continue, but there is great value in doing so as long as you are up to the task. There is yet another task that will be difficult for you in the near future, but first I would answer any questions you and your companions have about your journey so far."
I forgot. It was so long ago. No, I'm just kidding. I say, when you mentioned previous attempts and how difficult it is, in this shrine we came across seemingly a group of people in the Medusa chamber. Was that just constructs created for this shrine as a trial, or was that a previous group?
She says, my understanding is that it is not a previous group. That it is simply meant to throw people off and question their decision-making in the matter of process going through it. This is meant to be emblematic of some of the choices a successful Conatus candidate may have to make going forward, where they're not necessarily sure what is happening, but they have to make the best decision they can with the information they have in front of them. This is just one example of such, but there should be no remnants of any human being inside of that chamber.
I was going to ask for you, so it's better that you ask.
Lou asks, how did I come to be here?
She kind of looks over at you and just kind of seeing you for the first time. Like, she's addressing the group, but she hasn't really paid you much mind before now. But she says, ah, yes, you are the artifact that does not belong. That's a fair question to ask. There are certain souls that have been scattered beyond the material plane. And from my experience going through the Conatus, they are often called upon to assist candidates in their own journey. It is a strange process, I admit, and one I did not fully understand myself, but I was told that they were essentially plucked from a sea of discordant souls to give them purpose where they had previously been lost. We found that they were not able to leave these chambers, and what happened to them in the future I am not certain, but it was meant to assist in an important task, to give purpose to those who were otherwise lost in the abyss.
You mean to tell me that this is the end of the journey that is mine? That this is where I am to be?
She says, I regret that I do not know for certain, but I believe so, yes. We found many of these companions that in my journey to be reliable, and wish to have them accompany us on the journey, or at least try and find some semblance of their past lives, but they were unable to leave the chamber. When they reached the perimeter of the shrine, they found their form could not cross it.
And Lou looks very defeated.
Oh.
Don't be down, Lou. We'll figure it out. Aurelia, we have actually lost a companion in a teleportation circle. Could this be something similar? Could she be one of the plucked ones that you referred to? You remember her, it's Grail.
She nods. She says, I had noticed one of your companions was not with you. I had thought that perhaps you had already met with too much adversity, but you did make it through, despite that, and I can tell you from personal experience, not all of my companions made it either. The majority did. We did the best we could, and by God, we fought to save her, but there was one in particular who did not make it. But she perished along the journey. It sounds as though this happened outside of these walls connected to the Conatus. Is that true?
It is.
Yes, and it sounds like it could be something similar to Lou?
It is possible, yes. The world has changed since I remember it. There are many things that are unfamiliar to me, but nonetheless, it is possible that it is something similar, that perhaps a portal went astray or some other magic was at work that has cast her aside in a place that is extremely difficult to reach. I wish I knew more than that, but we were never able to find a way to bring the companions back across the void.
Aurelia, in our journeys outside the Conatus, we have reason to believe that there exists another world, perhaps not a mirror of Eremia, but close. During your travels, did you stumble upon anything regarding this? We suspect perhaps certain events during... Well, she'd be way earlier than the war. During one of the previous wars, a powerful weapon of magic was sundered, if you will. We believe Eremia may have changed. Perhaps doorways to this other place may have been opened. Do you know anything about any other world, another material plane like this one?
She seems to mull this over for a minute. She says, "Well, the benefit of having lived as long as I did was that I heard a great many things, but I do not recognize anything of that nature, no. I heard talk from long before my time that perhaps in the day of the cataclysm, magic was more erratic, prone to unexpected results or failures of expected outcomes, but that was well before my time on Aramea, and I do not remember anything from the time that I walked the continent."
Very well.
You remember just from, and you already addressed this, but you remember from the past discussion that, yeah, she predates the War of Calamity by
Yeah. She's like
at least a couple hundred years.
Yeah, it was a bit of a long shot given that, but yeah.
Yeah, just because that was a while ago now. What was that, 8 months ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Upon hearing that, Isaac just kind of looks down and like scuffs the ground a little bit with his foot.
Oh.
Hearing that best case scenario, Grail might be lost for 30 years and then only be able to leave exist inside of a shrine.
Yeah.